Welcome back to Backyard Builds. Recently we were asked about this collection of dollies. Now, they're all in a state of disrepair. They obviously look like they've been with the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean. They're all pretty rusty, covered in junk, and they're in need of restoration. What I'm going to do today is something slightly different, and I'm going to show you the process that I would use to clean up these dollies, remove all the rust scale, get a good face start on them, and then move on to mop and mirror. Or we're going to get it pretty close to mirror. Probably go to what's called a BA finish. It's not full mirror, but it's going to be pretty good for what we would use them for. All this stuff, except for the dollies, is pretty much available at Bunnings. I'll go through what I've got there in a second, but yeah, let's give these a quick clean up and get into them. I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but it is about to rain cats and dogs. So excuse the weather and the noise on the roof. Let's get into it. Alright, rusty dollies. Remember this good, slightly clean one that I picked up as well. But all in need of resto. I'm going to choose this doorknob dolly. Like I said, I need it. Now, I need to get all that rust and dust off it. Quickest way is just a wire brush for bench grinder. If you've got a vise, by all means clamp in a vise and just use a wire wheel on your angle grinder. Both will work. I have chosen to do this because I actually needed to buy one, so I have the luxury of having a pedestal grinder, bench grinder, whatever you want to call it. I'll mount that up on there, and then we'll get clean up on that first dolly. Alright, mounted. You saw these little plastic spaces go inside the wheel. They just help locate it on the spindle. This is a left-hand thread on my machine. Excuse me. Some could be right-hand thread. Most likely a right-hand thread's that side. Normally left-hand on this side. So when you're looking at it front on, it's your right side, left side. So spacer's on. I've nipped it up. I am now going to put on some safety gear because I don't feel like wearing one of those wires. Ear and eye protection, everyone. I'm obviously going to get rid of the dogs because I don't want them wearing the spikes either. I'm also going to get a pair of leather gloves to hold onto this because same thing, I don't really feel like wearing a wire brush through my hand. So yeah, let's do it. Alright, so I've cleaned that dolly up. As you can see, that's why I wore leather gloves. Imagine wearing that wire brush right on your fingers. No thank you. So, it's turned out to be a good exercise to start with. One, this is a Jador dolly, much like my cabinet. That would be a pretty rare dolly, I would say. That's probably worth the whole collection itself, in all honesty. It is a 253, so it is a thong slapper dolly. Next step is I really want to clean the surface up. Obviously the wire wheel's done a lot of it, taken a lot of the harshness. Obviously you can see how much rust scale is on there. You know, big difference. Next step is to hit it with, put that in the bin, my orbital. I've got a 120 grit on this, brand new pad. After that I've got 240 grits. I'm trying to do this as if you were doing it at home. If I was doing this for work, I would go like 120, 240, 400, 800, 1000, 1200, 15, 2000, 3000, and then I would go to the mop. But I'm not doing this for work, I'm doing this for at home. So I'm going to hit this surface and I'm going to hit this surface, because this dolly you could actually use both ways. It's sort of the way it's designed. So let's give this a quick buff and you'll be able to see a lot of the highs and lows and the damage on this dolly from that. Alright, so this dolly actually has a pretty good surface finish. There's a couple of little dents, but nothing that's going to wreck that surface. I thought I'd just explain how I'm doing it when I'm doing it. You can sort of see I'm sort of rolling both in a circular motion. So when I'm doing it, I'm sort of rocking around the face like that, and I'm turning both the dolly and the orbital. So this dolly's face, you can see actually has a few dings, bit of pitting in it. So obviously this surface was never used. It was mostly that face. So I'm just going to concentrate on this face for today, okay? 120, I'm pretty happy with the 120. I'm going to go to the 240 grit now. Alright, pretty happy with this. This is what's called probably like a true flat dolly. There's actually a small flat right in the center of it. But sort of just see it in the camera. It's a bit hard to pick up. But next is to move to a mop. So these are a Sizewell wheel. That's a stitch rag. A bit coarser, a bit finer. You can also get what's called a calico wheel. It sort of looks like this, but it's like really fine, soft cotton. There's different cutting compounds. I've just gone for, what do these guys call it? Black rouge or cutting compound, soap, whatever you want to call it. This is sort of like good for cutting back light scratches. It's got to be pretty good finish for what I need to do on this. To put one of these mops on your pedestal, you will need a spindle. So like I said, all this is available at Bunnings. You can go and get it yourself. This is for my bench grinder. It is a 16mm tapered spindle. I think there is 12 mils as well, and there is left and right hand threads. You need to know which side you've got, because it simply won't thread on. And if you try and thread it on the wrong side, and it does by chance go on, it's going to undo itself and launch itself across your shed. That's just going to do more harm than good. So I'm going to swap this over, put this on, and I'll show you how to set up with a little bit of rouge. And we'll do the first initial polish cut on the J'adore. Right, so we're going to take this one off, and remembering it's left hand thread, so you've got to do it up to undo it. Take all that off. Don't need the nut. Left-hand spindle, mine is M16, so we are undoing it to pull it up. Just give it a nip. Should hold that on there. Sizewell cut. Normally there's like a thick side and a shallow side. I would go the thick side in. It's a left-handed thread, isn't it? And these are just almost like a compression fit. You just keep doing them up until you're happy with how well it is on there. It just locks into the plastic. I like to make sure it is just through on the other side. So see, that mop's a little soft, sort of break down. It's almost like it's got carpet fibres inside. Yes, I'll use that. A little bit of this cutting compound or rouge, however you want to call it. I know it's rouge. Soap, buffing compound, it's all the same. Well, it's not all the same, but what we're doing, it is. This little bastard out. Come here. Alright. So what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to turn this on, get it hooking and booking, and I'm just going to, and all that's going to do is going to heat up, going to get a bit of that cutting compound on the mop, and we can go back, get our safety gear on, and start polishing. Alright, so that's sort of our first cut. See, it's getting pretty close. There's a few little imperfections in it. This side must have a bit heavier pitting. If you really wanted to, you could spend the time, sand it out, get it nice. So as you can see, when I was doing it, I was trying to cut down like from the top to the center and then the center to the edge, and I was sort of rotating it as I was going. It was constantly turning, and it's also the reason for the gloves. It's quite hot right now. But yeah, it was all just sort of that rocking motion, trying to keep with the face and the shape of the dolly. So next, we can give this a quick, just knock some of the soap off it, polish. It's not too bad, it's pretty shiny, but we can get it a little bit better. In the light, you can just pick up little imperfections, but nothing too drastic. Alright, let's go to the quick polish mop and a bit of rouge and put a final cut on that. Alright, as you can see, it can be quite messy. You can chew through your polishing compound pretty quick, but let me show you the reason why. You'll see me there. It's still super hot. The reason why you would polish your dolly, or your knob for all those smart asses out there, is, yeah, look at that, it's come up pretty nicely actually. And yes, I'm just using my shirt to rub off the rest of the cutting compound. Lovely and shiny. Look, you see me, hello, hello. That's what I would call a BA finish. You can see it's still almost a little milky in the light, and there's actually still a few little spots where there's a little bit of pitting. But the reason you would get your dolly to a mirror finish, and for that fact, your hammer, is when you're working the job, piece of metal, joint, whatever it be, that is still super hot. Whatever is on these surfaces, dings, marks, scratches, it transfers. So as soon as you hit the two together and you've got your sheet metal between it, if there's a mark on either surface, it transfers into that job, and then you're chasing little dings and you're going, well, where are all these coming from? It's from your tooling. This is my first year hammer, it's also on my arm. I keep this hammer in as best condition as I can. It's probably lost a few mil of thickness over its life, but it's still a 12 radius. Obviously I just restored this to jaw dolly. Mirror finish provides mirror finish. If you're working with rusty, you're gonna end up with a rusty looking job. If you're working with rough hammers, let's see if I've got a rough hammer. Oh, that one's pretty rough. She's had a day. This was just a, I don't even remember where I got this hammer, but you can see it's coarse. Look at the difference. Shiny, shiny, not shiny. Good, bad. I do use this hammer for when I'm doing rust repairs and I can't get to an area where I can't get the rust off. So I've got hammers for other jobs. But yes, look after your tools and they will look after you. Your jobs will come out 100 times better. Now in conclusion, everything that I've used here today you can buy at Bunnings. The only thing you can't is the pedestal. That was bought at Total Tools. If you can't afford a pedestal, you can get little attachments for a drill. Obviously this is not a calico buff wheel, but you can get smaller versions of this in this style spindle. This will hook into a drill driver, drill press if you want. There is a process, it does take time. Take the scale off, knock the rust off it. That is super hot still, holy moly. Knock the rust and the scale off, get all that out of there. Orbital it, you would prefer to use an orbital because it's rotating motion, it's random. If you're using like a finishing sander, which is just like a straight non-rotating sander, you're going to get lines and you'll get really bad flat spots in your dollies and in your hammers. Knock the scale off. Work your way through your grids. 120, 240, 400, 800, 1000, 15, 2000. Like I said, at work I'll go as far as 3000 before I even put that near above. And then work on your compounds. There is different compounds. There is black, red, white and green. It depends what you're finishing and to what extent. We've obviously just gone to a BA finish today, which is going to be pretty good for what I would use that for anyway. And it'll be pretty good for most of you at home regardless. Work your way through your mops. Go your Sizal, go your Quick Buff, go your Calico. Black on your Sizal, red on your Quick Buff. I use black today. That's my soap, like my cutting compound. Because for what I'm doing, it's okay. I've been doing this for 10, 12 years. On your Calico, only use white. If it is a white mop and white rouge, or white buffing compound, only use them together. Before you even put that near the white mop, clean it. Clean it in thinners, wax and grease remover, get a real good clean, put different pair of gloves on, clean your hands. Because if you impregnate that white mop with black cutting compound, it's not as good. The white compound is a lot finer and will give you a better cut and a better finish. Just keep that in mind, okay? Once you're at that sweet spot like we've gotten to today, that is still really, really, really warm. I can't stress that enough. Holy smokes, that's hot. Don't quench it. That's why I wear the gloves. It obviously takes the heat. If it's getting too hot, put it down for a minute, let it cool down in its own time. Do not quench your dollies. These are hardened surfaces. They're made to be hard. If you quench it, you're going to ruin the temper in it, and you'll end up being able to hammer flat spots. You'll soften the metal off. You don't want that, or you'll chip your hammer, chip your dolly. Not ideal. Especially when you're paying good money for good dollies. Like I said, this dolly alone probably just paid for that whole lot. Not that I'm getting rid of it. Don't quench. And yeah, work your way through your process. I've laid it all out. If there's any more questions, click me a DM on Instagram. I'll give you a rundown. I'll send you photos. But yes, that is the quick way to restore a dolly. One thing I forgot to add. Keeping the dollies in good condition while you're not using them. That one dolly I did get that was already sort of cleaned up. This is not a straight away used dolly. This is just like a WD-40 oil-based grease spray, lubrication spray, penetrating, whatever it be. They're all going to do roughly the same job. Great, short term. Just make sure when you go to use your dolly again, wipe it off, make sure it's a clean surface, because again, that transfer if you know you're not going to use it for ages, get yourself some Easy Frost from Oxytec. Give it a fucking quick once over. Pardon the French. Just a quick, just a quick hit, a little hit. Oh, it smells good actually. Don't mind the smell of it. That's all it needs. You don't need to lay it on thick. It doesn't need it. If you lay that on thick enough, it goes yellow, and you got to wipe it off. Go again. No thanks. But yeah, again, look after your tools. They'll look after you. Keep them oiled, Easy Frost, whatever you need to do. Keep them in good condition. Store them in a nice dry place. Store them together. Don't store them with rusty stuff. Don't store them with, just if it's clean, store it with clean stuff. Rusty stuff. That's why all those dollies are still sitting out on the table. I'm not putting them in my drawer full of good stuff. Again, thanks for watching. Any questions, DM. See you next time. Backyard Builds.